Alright, we are live. BoogiePod episode 38. We got no college baseball today, no college basketball today. All we got to do is college football, UFC, MLB, and NBA. And that is it. We should have a small episode today. It shouldn't be that long. Yet last week's episode was really long. This week should be much shorter. So we'll see. How was your week, Jake?
Pretty good. UFC card was boring, but
it was. Besides Pimble and Molly, it was boring.
Yeah.
Which sucks because it's supposed to be really, really good. But who cares? Move on. We'll get into it, and we'll talk about it. So let's start off. Let's go ahead and get going. College baseball, college basketball, like I said, nothing to talk about there. Boring sports, make it more entertaining. Jesus. Moving on. College football. Jeremy Pruitt, Old Tennessee Vols coach, got hit with 18 violations. So I'm going to read off some facts here to you about all that. So $60,000 that were paid to prospects, players, and their families. His wife, Casey, also accused for making 25 cash payments, totaling at about $12,500. So here's my question for you, because you might know this, and I don't. So is the school going to have to pay now for those fines, even though they got rid of Jeremy Pruitt? He's gone and everything. So how does that work? Do you know? Do you have any idea how that works? Because I don't think the school now should be punished for it when it happened before. But
in my opinion, I know I'm a Tennessee fan, so there might be bias, but what I've read, try to be unbiased. The way it seems that it could go down is that Tennessee really might not face many punishments as you would think, like sanctions and like playoff restrictions and stuff.
Yeah.
Because Jeremy Pruitt kind of made it like a him thing and like his wife. It was like them. He got other members of his staff to do it, but if it doesn't have to do with like the higher ups of the school,
right,
which they'd fired the AD as soon as it happened. So if he had anything to do with it, he was gone. It wasn't like this was an inside job. It seems like it was from him and started with him and his wife, and it went down to his assistants and stuff and recruiters. So in my opinion, and Tennessee's been cooperative. They've fired everybody that was involved. They've been doing an investigation. They cooperate with the NCAA. So I really don't see how you could just straight up like sanction the whole university. But maybe like a cash like fine, I can understand because they did give money to people they weren't supposed to. But like a playoff ban or anything, I really couldn't see that happening. Like a lot of people think it will. I don't. I would be pretty surprised.
Yeah, I would definitely be 100% shocked in a playoff ban. That would shock me a lot. Maybe a bowl ban, but you would really hope not, especially with the way Tennessee is trying to evolve their program and look a lot better. And they're supposed to be pretty good this year. You would hate for something that happened 5 years ago or however long this was ago, 3, 2, 4, whatever it was, long ago, really affect them that big. That would suck. That would suck big time.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if they thought Butch Jones ruined the program, if they get a big fine like that, Jeremy Pruitt would be your Nets guy to hate because that's just really bad, especially when you could have a season like this. And I don't know, it's just really bad. It's a really bad look for Jeremy Pruitt. If he had any hopes of, is he coaching now anywhere?
No. He tried to sue the university for money because we like fired him, obviously. Mm-hmm. But they ain't gonna get no money. I'd be shocked if he got any money from that because I mean he got fired for a reason.
Yeah, especially now. I'd be very shocked if he was able to get any money from the university. That's just a really bad look on Jeremy Pruitt. And if he even plans to get jobs in the future, that will always be brung up. And there's no way. It'd have to be really low at like a high school or something. That would be the only way.
Yeah. And another thing that helps Tennessee a lot, it wasn't like they were title contenders either. Say like they were really, really good and they weren't like cheating. They might have gotten more, but they were really bad. They were worse somehow with better players because Jeremy Pruitt's just not a good coach. But
yeah, that's. All right, moving on. So Arch Manning has been known, he's a really big, popular prospect. Everyone knows who Arch Manning is, especially because of that last name. He is supposed to be the number one pick. In the future, he'll be the number one pick probably. The number one prospect. Every team's begging for him. They're trying to get him, commit to Texas, all this stuff. He's number one on everybody. However, he was moved to number 2 earlier today by ESPN, and the person they put over him was USC commit Malachi Nelson, I guess is how you pronounce it. He's he's USC's commit for 2023, and ESPN moved him over there. Now I obviously I know who Arch Manning is. I don't really know who Malachi Nelson was until until he got moved to first. I haven't really looked at 2023's prospects all that much, so I don't know how good these people are necessarily. So I don't know if this is the right move by ESPN, but I thought it was very interesting for ESPN out of all of them to be the one to move them, because ESPN's more marketing than all of them. So you would think they would keep the higher, if they're close to even, you think they keep the higher name at one than the lower name. But they switched them, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on this. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I was surprised that it was ESPN or anybody was going to do it, because I think Arch Manning's going to be really good, but you have to, kind of see that the last name would help naturally, because Manning's have a lot of success in the past, and yeah, he's definitely up there. I don't know if anyone else will move him down besides ESPN, which I just wonder why they did. And I've seen a lot of people in the comments saying that Arch Manning shouldn't be number one, but they probably really don't know.
Yeah.
They just kind of say it because he's a Manning. But yeah, I don't really think it's a big deal. They're all already signed, so who cares at this point?
That's true. Yeah, it doesn't matter at this point. But that's just weird for ESPN to do that.
Randomly, too.
Yeah, it's very random. There is no reason, unless it'd be different if there was like an Elite 11 that he did really good on to make an improvement or something. Like, football season's not even in, so it's not like it was a season game that pushed him over or something. So it's just weird. Like you said, it just doesn't really make too much sense for ESPN to do that. So let's move on. UFC London was this past weekend. The main event, again, heartbreak loss for Aspinall. Really shouldn't have been a loss, but it is technically, I guess. So hate that for Aspinall. We still don't know how long he's going to be out for. You could only imagine it's going to be a long time, though. He seemed like he hurt maybe an ACL tear.
It was.
Yeah. And I don't know how long's an ACL tear before you can even start training again. A year?
2, maybe 2. For UFC, it's such a contact sport. It could be 2 years.
Which really sucks for Aspinall, because he was so talented, and this was going to be his biggest test, obviously. You would consider him and Blades winner of that being a title contender, and that just really sucks to see him go down. And after 2 years of training, he's not going to get back. Good thing for him, he is young, so he has plenty of time to improve, and maybe this time off, maybe you can look at it from a positive standpoint, and it'll help him. Moving on, though, for the first 30 seconds that we got, Curtis Blades looked really good, and he's going to get to move on, and UFC should treat it as a win for him, because, there ain't no reason to treat it as nothing, because you got to move on with the division. So you treat it as a win for him, and he goes on, and he'll probably face the winner out Tatu Vasi versus Cyril Gain. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree, yeah.
Yeah, and then, that one will either be, the winner of those two will be either for a title or a title eliminator bout. One of the two. So, and then that's really all about that fight. You got anything to add on that fight?
Yeah, it's a shame, because, they both landed their kind of shots, but I would agree that Blades looked better for the first 30 seconds or whatever. Yeah. But I had picked Aspinall, and I still think he probably could have won, but he was a little too aggressive, I thought.
Yeah.
Maybe the whole London crowd. He was coming out there and kind of getting countered a little bit. And I think as long as he is young, if he was a little older, this could be a really big deal, like career altering. But he is young, so I look for him to still come back and maybe contend again one day.
Yeah, it really sucks. It's back-to-back main events too. That's awful. That's crazy. I'd like to know the odds of that. That's bad.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to the co-main event, which was absolutely awful. Jack Hermansson versus Chris Curtis. A lot of people were high on Chris Curtis, thinking he had a real good chance in here, but he really he would close the distance and then not throw, and then he struggled to close the distance. I think you could really tell he took this fight on short notice. He was really unprepared, and I guess he was probably thinking Jack Hermansson was going to shoot, and in his brain he was thinking, as long as I defend that, I can beat him up on the feet. But he's undersized for the weight class, and when you're undersized for the weight class, it don't matter how good your striking is, you're not prepared for it, and that's how it was. And Jack Hermansson, he ain't very good, but he's good enough to not let you just close distance and beat him up. He's not going to let that happen. He's still a UFC fighter. So Jack Hermansson was able to do that. I think Jack Hermansson might have shot twice, tops. So Jack Hermansson's wrestling's the most overrated wrestling in all of UFC anyway. But what I think is next for Jack Hermansson will be Darren Till. I think that's what they should do. I think they should rematch that, put that back together. And for Chris Curtis, I think welterweight is a great option. Go find you like a Kevin Holland in welterweight. What a great fight that'd be. If not, go back, fight someone out of the rankings, Chris Curtis. You won't lose much stock for this because it was late notice, but man, I think in the viewers' eyes, as the fans' eyes, in the fans' eyes, Chris Curtis lost stock, in my opinion. What you got to add to that?
Yeah, I agree. I think Chris Curtis, and near the end of the fight, he had landed a couple good shots and made Hermanson look a little funny. I was like, if you could have done that 10 minutes ago, you might have won.
Yeah.
Because I'm not high on Jack Hermanson at all, and I think both their stocks went down a little bit because Hermanson really just. I think that's the most running I've seen someone do. I'm not gonna say it's a bad thing to run because it's how you fight sometimes. You gotta fight off your back foot.
Yeah.
But it was kind of shameless at some points. It was bad. It was hard to watch for both sides. It was hard to watch Chris Curtis finally cut him off in the corner of the octagon and then not throw. But then Jack Hermanson just keep backpedaling, almost running backwards the entire fight. And it was just bad style matchup, really, because Chris Curtis is very undersized. And I thought he can kind of get through it, though, because I figured he was, in his past fights, he seemed like he was kind of a wild man. He'd go out there and throw and not care, but not this one. The short notice, I think mentally, he just wasn't ready, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, moving on to the feature fight. Paddy Pimble versus Jordan Levitt. This one lived up to the hype. This one Levitt up to the hype. It was good. It was a really good fight. Pimble defended takedowns early, got taken down once or twice. Levitt won the first round, actually. A lot of people forget about that. Levitt was winning. He was.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
But Pimble did look good. It was weird how strong Levitt was. He was stronger than I thought he would be. But then Paddy just got him in the sub and just subbed him out. Paddy, I think the whole narrative of that he's overrated is 100% true. But I do think it's starting to get pushed a little too far. He's still a really good fighder.
Yeah,
and
he's good. Yeah.
I think ceiling is top 10. I think he could definitely be in the top 10 one day. I wish he was featherweight, but there's no way he's gonna cut to featherweight. He was eating this big thing in the post-fight press conference. It was funny. Yeah, he does his own thing, man. It's cool. But I think next for Levitt, I have no idea. He'll be out of the rankings, fighting somebody lower that I'm not really sure of. I'll let UFC match make that one. And for Paddy, I think Jill Miller would be a great fight for Paddy. I think it's a cool fight on paper. Yeah. I saw a lot of people talking about that, so I'm going to ride with that idea and go with that. I think Jill Miller versus Paddy Pimble is an awesome fight. And if you're going to put that on the main card, because I'd be shocked if he goes UFC London 3 times in a row. So if you put that on a pay-per-view card, that'd be an awesome opener to a card or a main event on the prelims. So that's what I got. What do you got?
Yeah, Paddy... his biggest threat now is definitely the submissions. Submitting Jordan Levitt is pretty good feather in the cap to have. Because I think you said he hasn't been finished before in his whole career.
No, Jordan Levitt's never been
finished. I don't know. Yeah. So that's pretty impressive to submit him like that. He threw up a lot of attempts. He got close. Then finally, second round, he got him.
Yeah.
On the feet, I really don't like him against, match made against a really good striker, though. I really don't like it for Paddy. But if he can get it to the ground... Yeah, if he can get it to the ground, I think he'll win a lot of his fights. But if he can't, I don't know. He's going to be kind of matchup prone, I think. I don't think he's immune to bad matchups. It'll be hard for him to get persevere over a matchup that goes the other guy's way instead of his way. Yeah, but this one was kind of even because interesting style matchup for this one. But yeah, I think someone like Jim Miller will be good. Some kind of gatekeeper just to prove that Paddy belongs in the upper half of the good lightweights.
Yeah, now I will keep saying this. My favorite, I think, a cool matchup would be, and I know they're not going to do this right now, but if Tony still don't have a fight by the time if Paddy beats Joe Miller, I love Tony versus Paddy, man. I think that's awesome.
That's too big of a jump, I think.
Right now it is, but if he beats Jim, he'll be fighting somebody top 15. So, all right, so moving on, UFC 277 is this week. It is Joanna Pena versus Amanda Nunes in the main event. Kai Kara France versus Brandon Moreno in the co-main event for the interim flyweight bout. So let's get some early predictions here. Jake, who you got? Brandon Moreno, Kai Kara France.
If the fight was going to happen right now, I would take Kai Kara France.
All right. By knockout?
I would. No, I think he would kind of do what Figueiredo did and knock him down constantly, but maybe get outstruck numbers-wise.
Yeah.
But the knockdowns mean a lot more than numbers. Kai Kara France has been on a tear. He has dynamite in his hands. And Moreno's chin's getting touched lately, dude. I don't like it. He gets dropped a little bit, and that's how you lose. You get dropped a lot, obviously.
Yeah.
So, right now, I got Kai Kara France, but do not be shocked if I turn up Saturday thinking Moreno. Okay. I'm not sure yet.
All right. I'm going Brandon Moreno. I got him by decision right now. I think even though, like you said, his chin does get touched and he does get dropped, he does not get finished. So that is one thing he does not do. So I like Moreno's recovery and his volume. And as long as Figgy hasn't ruined him, I think he should take care of Kai France. Kai France's power is really good, but Kai France has a lot of questionable losses on his resume that are very interesting to look at, and one of them already coming to Moreno, which was a great fight, by the way. It's not like it was a 1K show or anything like that, but Kai France is definitely a good underdog pick. I definitely agree with that, but I'm gonna have to lean Moreno. Go down to the main event, Juliana Pena versus Amanda Nunes. I'm weirdly excited for this fight. A lot more excited than I was when the fight got announced. When the fight got announced and I was gonna head on a card, I was like, I don't know. But now I'm kind of like, okay, I'm not saying I'm excited like I would be for, a lot of other main events, but I'm happily pleased that this is the main event, and I think it has a lot to do with Nunes could lose. And I think usually when we see Nunes head on a card, we kind of feel the immortal, like, no chance she loses, and it takes away all the excitement in the main card, where she could lose this fight, and that's what makes it really interesting to me. With all that being said, I am going Nunes by decision in early prediction. But
decision.
Decision. I think it's gonna be a war. I think it's gonna be a great fight, and Juliana Pena could definitely win this. She could have her number. What do you got?
I am so 50-50 right now because I've seen the memes where it's like, does Pena is she like her kryptonite, or is it a fluke? I really don't know.
It's hard to say.
I do not know. Right now, I would probably take Nunes just based off, it's everyone loses at some point. Most people lose at some point, and she's happy to lose that night. Maybe it was just not her night.
Yeah.
But Pena's chin is what concerns me for Nunes, because if Pena could survive that first round or two, I think she could probably win.
Yeah.
But Nunes is very good. Now, I feel like some people have forgotten a little bit how good she is just because she lost.
Yeah.
You don't ever see her lose. But it's going to be like a game time decision for me, I think. I'm going to take on that. Now I'm feeling.
Yeah.
I'm in that position. Another
thing for Pena to consider if you are leaning Pena is it could be Nunes's just age. Could be time.
That's true.
I mean, everyone has their time. All kings must fall. It might be time for Nunes to fall, and it is what it is. Her time might run out. She's already a champion in her division that's far weaker than 135. So, it could be just her time. If Nunes wins, though, is there a trilogy?
It's only fair. I mean, it's not really fair for Pena. I mean, she beat her once fair and square, then Nunes gets automatic rematch, and if she wins, there kind of has to be. Like, if you were to keep the integrity of it, because you do that with everybody else, you kind of have to do it with Pena too. I kind of hope Pena wins just to get Nunes out of it a little bit, because it would make it much more interesting. Yeah. Because Nunes will have a belt, ain't like she's gone. Right? Yeah. Or she could fight her way back for this belt again.
Yeah.
But I don't want to see a trilogy, so I kind of hope Pena wins, but I just don't know if she will.
If Nunes loses, does she retire?
Depends how she loses. If she gets gassed, looks really bad again, because I think we all agree she looked pretty bad.
Yeah,
bad.
She does smoke Pena round one though. We got to remember that she takes her down and sets on her the whole time of round one.
Yeah, I just don't know what happened. It was weird. It's mental error.
Gas,
I don't understand it.
Yeah, Bolt came loose or something, dude. I don't know.
It just doesn't make any sense how she lost that fight. Which it does at the same time, though, but it's just weird.
Yeah.
It's not like Nunes to lose that in that fashion,
Yeah.
So, I think she should retire if she loses again. If it's a war to decision, she loses split decision, I don't retire. But if she gets tired in a round again, retire.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Huh? Yeah, I agree with you. All right. UFC 280, a bunch more fights got announced, as in for the co-main event for that card, is Aljamain Sterling versus TJ Dillashaw. Give me your early prediction for that fight.
I'll have TJ in decision right now. Aljo is very one-dimensional. Everyone knows it. But he's very good at what he does, though. I'll give him that. But he's a little one-dimensional. TJ, some people think he beat Sandhagen. Some people don't. I think it was really close. You think he lost, I believe.
Yeah.
So, but I like what I saw kind of against Sandhagen. But I don't know. I have TJ, though. Decision. I don't know. It's a weird fight, kind of. I think it's a weird matchup.
All right, right now, I think there's levels.
Don't take Aljo.
I'm going Aljo. By decision.
No, you're not.
There's levels.
You'll change.
I might change, but right now, if the fight was to happen today, right now, me and you looked over to our other monitor, fight was on. We had to pick $1 million. I'm taking Aljo. Confidently.
By what?
Decision.
Do you think he'll lay on him like he did Perion?
No. I think his striking's a lot more unorthodox, though. And I think there is a huge submission threat against Dillashaw. There is.
Yeah,
for
that's a
Aljo.
submission threat. That's how I think he'll win if he does win.
Yeah, but I'm going decision. I think Aljo will outpoint him all the rounds. Dillashaw will be on the back foot. And I don't know. I think Dillashaw's too old. PEDs. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
It's just and also a little something smelling in my body about Corey Sandhagen not all being all that good. And the fact that Dillashaw won that fight on paper, I guess, not on paper, but, on the 3 judges on the side of the octagon, still blows my mind. I rewatched that fight recently. My opinion has not changed. I cannot believe they gave that fight to TJ Dillashaw. It's just mind-blowing to me. But not only that, he looked really significantly, slow in that fight and not impressive at all. And I don't know, man. I know styles make matchups, but he went to a banging decision war. Corey Sandhagen barely won, I guess, if you want to say he won. He really lost, but barely won. And then you got Aljo, who just dog-walked Corey Sandhagen. And I know styles make matchups, TJ Dillashaw with the takedown defense and all that stuff. I get that. But I'm just going Sterling, man. He's a champ. So champ, close decision. He'll get it anyway. So I'm going Sterling. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be a really good fight. I think it might be kind of boring, too, to be honest with you. But
yeah, it could be boring.
But I think close, I got to go with the champ. So I'm going Aljo right now. O'Malley versus Peter Yan also got announced. Who you leaning in this one? Who you got right now?
This one's hard because it's only 3 rounds. If it was 5, I think there's a clear answer. But with 3 rounds, there's not a clear answer in my mind right now. I would go Peter Yan if the fight was about to come on. But I would say O'Malley needs to win round 1. If O'Malley does not win round 1, he's probably going to get knocked out or stopped.
Yeah.
If he can start off good and make Peter Yan have to figure him out and buy him some time, it could go to decision. But O'Malley, it's a big jump.
Yeah.
Big jump. To Peter Yan. I still think Peter Yan's the best in the division, regardless of ranking or champ status. I like Peter Yan more than the rest of them. But right now, I got Peter Yan. I think it'll be good, though. I hope it's a really good fight. I hope Sean O'Malley doesn't lose stock, even if he does lose.
Yeah, I think it's a really good fight, too. I had Peter Yan by knockout round 3 late. I think he'll just end up beating up Sean O'Malley so much that he'll just fold. I think it's a bad matchup for Sean O'Malley, too. Yeah, I just think it's a bad matchup for Sean O'Malley. Like you said, I hope he doesn't lose stock. I think if he does lose this fight, I know I'm already making fights and we don't know, but I think if he does lose this fight, that Arenas dude, who's another boxer who called him out not too long ago, I think that'd be a really good fight between him. That dude's ranked 15 or right outside the rankings. He's really good. That'd be a good fight. That's kind of the fight I was expecting to see after Pedro Munoz, to be honest with you. I can't remember exactly what his name is. But I thought that was the fight that was going to happen already. They announced Peter Yan. Like you said, I think it's too big of a step up. I'd like to see him fight like a somebody in that middle ground, like a Cruz or somebody like that in the middle ground to kind of make that bridge for him to go to fight a top 3 opponent. But it is what it is. He's fighting now. Kudos to him. But I got Yan by TKO round 3 by beat up. Maybe even the doctor stoppage. I could see that too.
I don't know if a dog stoppage would shock me because Sean O'Malley's not taking much damage. Like he doesn't have prior scar tissue and all that stuff that sometimes would be required. But I hope O'Malley don't get beat up that bad. I don't want it to alter his career, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see it being that bad, but I could see Peter Yan knocking him out late too.
Yeah. All right. And the other one that got announced is Dariush versus Gamrot. Who you got right now in this?
Good one. I got Gamrot. I think Gamrot by kind of whatever he wants. In a sense, he would surprise me if he knocked him out a bit, but just Dariush is like a lesser version of Poirier in a sense. I think where Poirier is pretty good at everything. Dariush is a little less good at everything else. He's still
I agree with that. Yeah,
but Gamrot looked really, really good against Sarukian. Really good.
Yeah.
They both look great, but Gamrot just came in on top because he has more 5-round experience. But yeah, I think Gamrot. Maybe by decision, actually, but just he looks really good. It's dominant, but by decision.
Yeah, I got Gamrot by knockout in round 2, actually. Gamrot's power gets slept on a little bit, I feel like, because the last time we saw him was his first time on big stage. But if you've ever watched his fights before that, he does have really good power. So I actually think, and Darush has known to be a little chinny, honestly. Maybe not in his last couple fights, but in his past UFC history, he's been a little chinny. So I'm going to go Gamrot by knockout in round 2. I actually think he'll catch up to Darush, and the time being off will catch up to him a little bit as well. Alright, so let's move on. MLB. We're going to talk about Big Papi, David Ortiz, getting put into the Hall of Fame. We're going to bring up a question. Is it valid? Is it valid Hall of Fame inductee? Okay, so I'm going to shoot a career stat at you, and I want you to hit me with a yes, he's valid, or a no, he's valid, and then elaborate on that. So, David Ortiz, valid Hall of Famer, okay? His stats are, his career stats, 286 average, 541 home runs, a 932 career OPS. So is he a valid Hall of Famer or not, Jake?
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. Yeah, he's clear Hall of Famer. Yeah, he was big for the city of Boston. Obviously, he won 3 World Series titles with them.
Yeah,
everyone likes him. Obviously, he's big in the media now. But yeah, he's valid. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what's also going to be cool, really, like you said, you bring up more not only his stats, and his playoff stats are also really, really good, too.
They're really good. His World Series stats in particular are insane.
But money. Not just bringing up that stuff, but the stuff he does for the game, and it still does for the game. He's a big face in it, and if you know baseball, you know him. So, awesome to see him go to the Hall of Fame and stuff like that. So, let's move on. I don't know if you heard about this, but the Cardinals are about to play a series against Toronto at Toronto. And here are the 2 important names that will not be playing there. Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt will not be playing in the series against Toronto. So that brings up the question about Toronto. What are they going to do about them in the playoffs? Are they going to keep it how it is and just be like, dang, it's your fault your players aren't vaccinated? Or what do you think they should do? Yeah, I know this is kind of a political topic, and we don't really want to get into that. Kind of, it can be. But it's just, there has to be something done, you would think. There's no way.
Yeah, if I'm the commissioner of MLB, I'm not letting any player be forced to sit out in another country because of vaccination status.
Yeah.
Regardless what you think about it, don't matter. I don't think that's right. I think they should make Toronto play somewhere else. Or I wouldn't shock me because last year, if you remember with Kyrie, how he had to sit out home games in New York. Mm-hmm. Near the end of the season when things got tense, he had to make a playoff spot. They lifted it randomly, let him play.
Yeah,
I could see that happening the same way. It's all political stuff. They're kind of front running a little bit late in the season. I think they'll say, "Hey, playoff time, they can play," because they don't really care as much as they want you to think. Yeah, it's not personal.
Yeah, I hope you're right. I hope this does get lifted because best case scenario, Toronto still gets to play in Toronto. And everyone gets to go there and play.
Yeah, it's awesome atmosphere.
Yeah, so that would be a best case scenario. Hopefully they figure it out because it's not Toronto's fault either. It's just the people who's over it and what they think. Yeah. So, yeah, that would be a real shame if we have a scenario where Toronto makes the World Series and say if it's against the Cardinals. I mean, that's a possibility. And Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado don't even get to play in the World Series at home series. I mean, they'll be even if Toronto wins the World Series and say that's still the rule, they will get no credit for it. They'll get 0 credit. That World Series ring will be taken away from them practically.
Yeah.
And so even if Toronto wins it that way, they don't want to win it that way. So it is what it is. Moving on to go ahead.
I was gonna say I've been seeing comments people talking about saying they just don't want to win on Arenado and Goldschmidt, how disgraceful that is. I wouldn't say that. I think your health, whatever you value health-wise, is more valuable than baseball. Yeah. So if they don't think they need the vaccine, there's nobody that should make them get it. Yeah. It's their call.
I agree. All right, so MVP American League, MVP National League, Cy Young American League, Cy Young National League of the season was the end today. I think I have the exact same 4 that I had before the All-Star break. MVP American League, I still have Yordan Alvarez with a 307 batting average, 28 home runs, and a 1.075 OPS. Who you got for American League MVP right now?
I'm going to go Yordan Alvarez, but he's starting to worry me because he's on my fantasy team and he's sitting out a lot of time. He's been getting hurt. He's got a wrist problem. If he misses too much time,
it could take it away from him.
Yeah. A lot of the voters are looking for an excuse to give it to Judge right now, which he can still he is the MVP, but I don't want Yordan to sit out too much more time or it would kind of hurt him a little bit. But right now, he still is the MVP of the American League.
Yeah, so MVP of the National League is still the same person I think I've had for 5 weeks now, Paul Goldschmidt. 335 average, that's a crazy average. 24 home runs and a 1.036 OPS. Yeah, I mean, he's just had a great year. There ain't much else to say. You got the same guy, I assume?
Yeah, I got Paul Goldschmidt. He's just been Mr. Consistent this year. He's always hitting.
He's been hot from the very beginning of the year. Like, he just hasn't slowed down.
Pretty much.
It's just crazy. Cy Young for the American League, Shane McClanahan, right? You got that too? Yep.
Yeah.
10-3, 1.71 ERA, and a 0.80 WHIP. He has been fire. He's been cash money for Tampa Bay all year long. And that leads me to my Cy Young National League. I know who you have. I also have the same person, Sandy Alcantara, 9-4 in record, 1.81 ERA, and a 0.90 OPS. Just to show you the difference in ERA leaders, though, Shane McClanahan's is 1.71, which is a 0.10 difference from Sandy Alcantara. Sandy Alcantara's second. So Shane McClanahan has been money, even though he got beat up in the All-Star game. All right. Oh, something else. Where do we think Jan Soto is going to go to? Trade predictions. When does that end? Next 2 weeks?
Yeah, pretty much. Next 2 weeks, yeah.
So who you got there for Jan Soto?
Juan Soto. I think he's either going to be a Cardinal, a Tampa Bay Ray, or a San Francisco Giant. I'm not going to go with the big market Yankee or Mets or Dodgers because I think the asking price is too high, and they're like, hey, we're already good. Why would we give up our future for a guy that would just help us already, but we're already good?
Yeah.
And like the Cardinals need to get over the hump of beating the Brewers in their division because it's always a close race, and they're like a game and a half back or something. So Juan Soto makes a lot of sense for them. And Tampa, it's possible because they have all the farm system people in the world to get him. If they want him, they got him.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they'll want to give everybody away. And the Giants are also really close, like wild card hunt, and getting Juan Soto would probably put him in it. So a lot of teams that can need him more than the Yankees and Dodgers and Mets.
Yeah, I like the Giants. I don't know if that's necessarily the team I think that's going to get him, but I'm going to go with if I had to pick one team from the go-to, I'd love for him to go to the Giants. I think that'd be really cool. I think he'd look awesome in a Giants uniform. And that'd be really good for him to play in that atmosphere every week and stuff like that. I think he'd look awesome in a Giants uniform. So that's where I'm going to say he'll go. That's where I want him to go. We'll put it that way. All right, moving on. NBA, the Celtics have engaged and talked with the Nets on Kevin Durant. If the Celtics get Kevin Durant, go ahead and give him a ring this coming up here, dude. That's going to be, that is a huge pickup. Well, it depends, obviously, what they have to give up for him. But, man, if they can steal KD off the Nets, huge for Boston. Huge for Boston. What do you think?
I don't know. The Celtics got so close, but I don't know if giving up a lot of your team for Kevin Durant is going to get you a ring. Because it depends. If they want that much for him, that means you're giving like 2 or 3 significant starters for your team away for Kevin Durant, who is really good, obviously. But I don't know. I don't necessarily like that move for them because they were so close. I wouldn't completely shake everything up either because look what the Nets did. They shook everything up to get him, Kyrie, and James Harden, and still couldn't barely win a playoff series in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
It's just I wouldn't do it. If I was already a really, really good team, I wouldn't do it.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. It depends with the asking price. If you have to give up so much, then I agree, no. But, if you only have to give up 2 starters, and one of them happens to be the place that Kevin Durant's going to play, and then you have to give it to some other guy, make the trade, man. I think Kevin Durant is worth it, and also, yeah, a little star power to that team. Not that you need it or anything, I'm just saying. It'd be cool. I think he'd look good in a Celtics uniform. It'd shake up the NBA too, and I don't really watch the NBA, so anytime there's drama, I'm for it. Let's go.
Yeah.
So, I got nothing to talk about NFL wise, and that leaves me. Did we miss anything? Anything you want to talk about? No,
no, I don't guess so.
All right, well, that'll wrap it up for this BoogiePod. So this BoogiePod episode 38. If you're rewatching or you're watching now, go look in the description right now. Join the Discord. Please, we're trying to build a huge Discord community. Go join the Discord. That'd be awesome. Also, check out the other channel, Boogie Gaming. And subscribe, like, all that stuff.